Hey people, this is my weekly rundown of things in entertainment news interest me, and I've got a few stories to talk about, but probably the thing that I'm most excited about is the Iron Man 3 trailer. It came out this past week, and I was really impressed by it. I mean, I've been cautiously optimistic about Iron Man 3. I think I've said in the past several times that I'm not the biggest fan of Iron Man 2. I like the first one a lot, but the second one was kind of disappointing. I don't feel like it managed to really justify its own existence. And Iron Man 3, this trailer for me really kind of convinced me that they had a reason to do this movie. They had a good story to tell, and that I think they've taken the right tone with it, because it does seem very different from the first two. It doesn't have that very, oh, look at me, I'm Tony Stark, I'm cool, this is just a very fun movie feel to it like the first two did. And honestly, I think the first one did it very well, but aside from the action being a step up in the second movie, most of the things about the second movie were like a lesser version of the first movie. I mean, you had Tony Stark like growing in his responsibility in both movies. The comedy wasn't as good in the second movie. I mean, the story arc of Tony wasn't as good in the second movie, but this, you really have a progression of the character. I mean, you can see that his experiences have affected him. He seems more mature, and that's one of the things that I didn't like about Iron Man 2. To me, it seemed like he kind of regressed a little bit. Iron Man had him like take responsibility, and in Iron Man 2 he's kind of a jackass again. So in this, you can see right from the beginning of the trailer that this is a Tony Stark that has learned from all of his experience. He is affected by everything that's happened, so that's very exciting to me. It seems like they're upping the intensity for this, and the whole personal attack on Iron Man storyline I think is very interesting, and they sort of did that in Iron Man 2, but not to the same level that it looks like this is going to do it to. And also, I mean, I don't want to turn this into attack on The Dark Knight Rises, but one of the things I've criticized about The Dark Knight Rises is that the attack on Bruce Wayne didn't feel personal and direct enough to me. Like, Bane kind of just waits for Batman to come to him. This, you can see that the villains are mounting an assault on Tony Stark, so I think that element of the story is going to be very interesting. And they've said that they kind of wanted to, in a way, put him back in the cave, like referring to the cave from the first Iron Man movie, where his back is up against the wall, and it's really just Tony relying on his intelligence. And you can see at the end of the trailer, the armor seems to be dead, and he's dragging it through the snow, so this is going to be a very different Iron Man movie, which I'm excited about. And, you know, it seems like they've got Pepper in a very dangerous situation, and I actually believe there's a chance that Pepper could die, and that Happy Hogan could die. So the stakes are very high in this, and I'm just very impressed. It has been officially announced that Clark Gregg will be reprising his role as Agent Coulson in the upcoming Marvel S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series, which is kind of surprising given what happened with the Coulson character in the Avengers. Don't want to give any spoilers, but the Avengers has been out for a long time, so if you haven't seen it by now, that's kind of your problem. But anyway, I'm kind of trying to figure out what they might be doing with this. There's always the possibility that this series could be set in the past of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I'm thinking with that, if you intend for this series to go on for a long time, eventually you're going to catch up to the events of the Avengers and move forward from there. So maybe Clark Gregg is only intended to be there at the beginning, maybe he would be in flashbacks, I don't know. But it will be interesting to see this character again. I'm just hoping they don't mess up the Avengers by undoing what was done in that storyline, or doing some kind of silly retcon that says, oh, that didn't really happen the way that you thought it happened. Because I think that would really just kind of cheapen the plot of that story, because what happened with the Coulson character in the Avengers, I think, is very central to the movie, and helps to give it more emotion, more drama, instead of just being completely just light and fun. Speaking of the Avengers, some information has been released about the upcoming Avengers animated series Avengers Assemble, which will be replacing Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. I've heard that it might be kind of a continuation of that story, but the animation style looks very different, so I'm not sure how connected it might be. And the style to me looks, doesn't look that great. I'm kind of skeptical about this show. As you might know if you follow my videos, I haven't been that pleased with Marvel animation lately. I mean, I enjoy Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes a lot, but I am not a fan of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon at all, and I think the plan is to kind of create a Marvel universe around that series, so Avengers Assemble seems like it might be in the tone of Ultimate Spider-Man, which, if it is like that, I'm probably not going to be watching much of that series. But anyway, sorry for the rant there. To give the information, though, the voice cast for the series includes Adrian Pasdar from Heroes as Iron Man, Fred Tatasciore as the Hulk, who played the Hulk in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, so that's kind of cool for fans of that series. Roger Craig Smith as Captain America, Travis Willingham as Thor, Troy Baker as Hawkeye, Laura Bailey as Black Widow, and Bumper Robinson as the Falcon. So, I don't know how familiar any of you are with these voice actors, but you can probably look them up on YouTube or somewhere else to get an idea of what their voices will sound like with these characters. Some really big news is that Warner Brothers is expected to accelerate development on the Justice League of America project, which will include finding a director and cast. The hope is to shoot next year for a summer 2015 release that puts it right up against the Avengers 2. So that's kind of exciting in a sense, having these huge blockbusters coming out in the same summer. But overall, I'm pretty displeased with this news, because while I'm very interested in seeing a Justice League movie, I want to see a Justice League movie done right. And you can't ever really have another first attempt at doing something. If the Avengers failed, you probably wouldn't get another chance at doing a first Avengers movie for like 30 years. So this is a big deal, really. And there are all sorts of other things wrapped up in this Justice League movie. I need to do a whole video just talking about my opinion on how DC should go about building up their universe, but that's another time. To give you the gist of it, though, my problem with the Justice League movie is that at the time of its release, the only version of the character that you will be seeing in that movie that you've been introduced to before is Henry Cavill's Superman, who will be in Zack Snyder's Man of Steel next year. Christopher Nolan's Batman franchise has come to its conclusion, so you're not going to have Christian Bale in there. Green Lantern was pretty much a failure, so I don't think they're going to go to Ryan Reynolds to be that character. So you're potentially introducing 4 superheroes in the same movie while trying to put them together and set up this story and develop all of that at the same time. And it really, to me, doesn't give you enough time to have audience connect to these characters and really get to know them. Especially someone like Batman. They're trying to figure out who this new Batman is, because they're used to the Christian Bale Batman, so they're adjusting to this Batman at the same time as they're meeting this new Green Lantern and Flash and Wonder Woman and seeing them all together. It's just a lot to be doing at one time, and I think that honestly, you can do a great Justice League movie. I mean, a story in itself can always be good. And if you look at the cinematic trailer for DC Universe Online, there's a lot of potential to do an interesting Justice League movie that's not just kind of a rehash of the way the Avengers does it with, hey, there are aliens coming, we've got to fight them. Not trying to criticize the Avengers, just a very simplistic. I feel like alien invasions are one of the most sensible way to come up with a threat that you need a whole superhero team to fight. So it's hard to figure out something else for these characters to do in a first movie that doesn't require a lot of explanation. So I think there are ways to do that without doing the alien invasion thing, but Justice League just has a lot of obstacles to face to be a satisfying movie for fans, and I think that they're really kind of hurting themselves trying to do this, and trying to get this out to go up against Avengers 2, I don't see what that does for them. Maybe their feeling is that if they wait until the Avengers plays its course and they've done all their building up, people won't be as excited about the whole superhero team-up thing, which is a potential problem, but if that was their concern, they should have done this a long time ago. But my feeling towards this is that superhero movies are continuing to make a lot of money, so it's not like a Justice League movie, if they build it up properly and get people interested in these characters, is going to be struggling to attract an audience if they release it after the potential third Avengers movie. That way, they're not really having any competition, and people will be saying, oh, well, the Avengers trilogy is done. We're looking for something else to go watch now, so Justice League movie is now the big thing. It's kind of a transition to this being like the dominant franchise out there. So it'd be smart in like every sense to wait and do their own version of the Marvel Cinematic Universe approach. Another trailer that was released this week was A Good Day to Die Hard, and it looks pretty cool. I'm excited about it. I'm a big fan of the first movie, and I really enjoy the franchise as a whole. I mean, I can't say I love it as a movie series because it's not like it's got a great story going throughout all these movies, but individually they are very enjoyable and some of my favorite action movies, and obviously the first one might be like in the top 3 favorite action movies of mine, so I'm excited to see where they go with this one. It should be interesting to see John McClane with his son, but definitely check out that trailer. I'm not super hyped for it yet, but maybe another trailer will get me more hyped for this movie. And the last thing I wanted to bring to your attention was this interview with Marc Webb, in which he speaks briefly about the sequel to The Amazing Spider-Man. There's not much that he gives about the story in the next movie, but it's possible that we might see Martin Sheen as Uncle Ben again in a flashback, and he says that the origin of the spiders, the experimental spiders, will be explored and explained more in a later movie. So that's kind of interesting to think about. But that's really all I've got for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time.